I'm sitting here with Martin Hansson, who is the studio manager at Volvo Studios Manhattan in New York. Martin and I have been working together for a while. We've been working on a few projects with Swedes in the States. And obviously the first to join me in this interview, where I'm going to sit down with a lot of Nordic companies to kind of see how they've been impacted by the corona crisis, and especially what they're doing to kind of give back to their community, help rebuild, help support other entrepreneurs, businesses, healthcare professionals, and so on.
Yeah.
Hi.
Thank you for having me, Natalie. I think it's always fun to be a first, and hopefully I can set the bar pretty high.
So you're sitting at home in New York, New Jersey, right now, just like I am, and so many of us. How has this whole crisis impacted you? How has the whole COVID-19 changed your day-to-day?
Yeah, it's interesting in a lot of ways how the past, I would say, really 2 months, I believe, and it's so hard to keep track on days nowadays. You wake up and you start to wonder if it's another Monday or if it's the weekend and you can relax. But I think moving away from being at a store, 100% meeting people every single day, our customers and coworkers, to be sitting in my studio apartment that it feels like it's smaller and smaller by the day right now, and work from a makeshift desk. I think that's been the biggest difference for me, no doubt. It's always tough to. We had a few friends and families that were supposed to come over, for the past couple of weeks to visit, and was supposed to have a good time, and they had to cancel their plans and reschedule. And that's, in the grand scheme of things, that might be minor things, but it's definitely a bummer to not be able to do some of those things that you really look forward to over the past couple of months. But overall, though, things are well, and fortunate to be working for a company like Volvo, where they make sure to take care of us, and we have a lot of great customers out there too that we can help through this tough time. So all is well here.
That's great to hear. So Volvo Studios right now is shut down to the public, or are you open?
Yeah, so it's interesting to have a retailer location in the Volvo Manhattan, where it usually takes me maybe an hour and a half to drive home after work, and the past couple of weeks I could be home in 20 minutes if need be. So it's been it's really the city that never sleeps. It's been a completely different city from what we're used to, and definitely not as many cars or bikes or people out and about. And we had to close down due to state mandates the showroom. So we haven't been able to have customers really in the showroom until this week, where we slowly start to open things up again. So it's been a big difference, and we've seen that across the nation too. But fortunate enough to still have our service department open to be able to support customers that might need help with their vehicles in other ways.
Yeah. So, corona crisis, obviously, what we know started in China and then kind of made its way towards the US, stopping in Europe, obviously.
Yep.
Affecting Europe horrifically, especially Italy. And we knew it was coming, but I don't think we didn't really count on we didn't really expect the impact that it would have on our community. What were some of the first measures? Because you work at the headquarters in New Jersey as well. You're kind of going in between Volvo Studios and the headquarters. What were some of the first measures taken when you guys realized how serious this actually was?
Yeah, we're a fairly small organization in the U.S. Kudos to all my coworkers for really stepping up and given that they're all, really from day one, and from the day that we had to close down the office and start working from home. I think one of the benefits of working for a global company is that a lot of our colleagues stayed in touch with our, Chinese counterparts, or European counterparts. So throughout these past couple of weeks, months, we've been able to look really closely at what they're doing, what's been doing well for them, what might not have worked as well for them when it comes to just how to operate with retailers or with a retailer too. So that's been a great benefit for us. So to answer your question, I would say that we started to listen a lot when we knew this was coming. And I think that kind of helped us get through a lot of things that other companies where they might not work on a global scale, they don't have the opportunity to get those learnings so quick either.
Right. So you think that you guys, because of your counterparts in China and Asia and Europe, you feel like you were more prepared than, let's say, a lot of other companies who are a lot smaller might.
Yeah, I think too, to your point earlier, it's really tough to come out and say that you could be 100% prepared.
Right.
It's a lot of differences in culture and the daily lives from what's happening in China to Sweden to here. And I think that's something that we couldn't really prepare for. And when you're getting into things that I'm not an expert in, when you're talking about the financial side of things too, it's a big difference how consumers spend their money in the U.S. or Sweden or in China too. So it's been a tricky landscape for really all businesses, and I think it's going to be some tough times ahead of us too. But I definitely feel like we start to see the light at the end of the tunnel, hopefully here pretty soon.
Right. So the light at the end of the tunnel, a tough time ahead of us. How is Volvo and Volvo Studio? How are you guys participating? How are you helping to rebuild the community? What are you planning to do to support your community? I know we're both very involved in the Scandinavian community in the United States. How do you plan on kind of inserting yourself and helping rebuild after this has blown over?
Yeah, another shout out to our colleagues, really across the Americas, even Latin America and Canada. Our national teams have done a great job to work with healthcare workers across the nation and really provide them safe means of transportation to and from hospitals. We work with a few hospitals in the New York City area where they have to fly in doctors from across the country, and they need a safe way to transport themselves while they're staying to the hospital that they're now working for. We've been able to come in there and provide them with that transportation. And I think that's been, a great program. And we've been getting some really good feedback too, how people feel a lot safer when they're on the road and when they're coming back and forth from work to be driving in a Volvo. So that's a little bit of a high level. And we've seen that really across the world that's taken place. At the Manhattan studio, it's always tough when you're in the middle of it. You don't really want to get out there and do things from just a marketing thing. I think it's such a serious situation. So we've been laying pretty low for a while to make sure that, people can stay at home, people can get the help they need from hospitals, from doctors and whatnot. And, more than anything, making sure that our customers are taken care of. However, now when we start to see this light at the end of the tunnel, we've seen some great opportunities to connect with, like you mentioned, the Scandinavian communities. There's so many small businesses in the greater New York City area where you have, they're Swedish owned, they might be, coming from Sweden originally, or we might have, people in various positions in a company that are from Sweden. So to be able to connect with them, to reach out to them and say, how can we help? How can we make sure that your life is a little bit easier? It's just been an incredible experience. And we have some really neat things coming up too that I'm excited to roll out within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, so one of my editors actually picked up on your collaboration with Bon Bon, New York, and this store in Manhattan, which was a very heartwarming, heartfelt collaboration where you're delivering candy to, it started out with healthcare workers, but I think we saw that you you were delivering to the fire department, am I right?
We actually delivered to the NYPD in one of the precincts that's close to the Bonbon location. And it's been a great way for us to give back to, you know, people in the front line and also small Swedish companies. Because I think what happened when Salim called me from Bonbon and he talked about this idea he had to help the business as a whole to start implementing delivery routes that, you know, your Uber Eats and other provider couldn't do for them. You know, it was a no-brainer, especially when myself had a car just sitting around to be able to provide that means of transportation for them. And just to hear them talk about the employees that they can bring back to work for them again, or making sure that, you know, part-time workers might go to full-time hours. That's just, you know, I think that's a side of the COVID-19 crisis too, that obviously the health is most important. But as we come out of this too, there's going to be companies like Bonbon that need help to survive and kind of move forward as well. So that's been a great partnership, and it's just really exciting that we can help out with the frontline workers too.
So apart from Bonbon, what other projects are you guys working on right now to kind of give back and support the community?
Yeah, it's interesting. So when we kind of launched the partnership with Bonbon, my inbox rather quickly filled up with a handful of emails from other Scandinavian companies and other people that I might have worked in the past too, that, you know, had some great ideas and questions around partnerships. So we do have a few things in the works. We're working with the Swedish Chamber of Commerce in New York. They're great people, and they have a great community of startup companies that kind of works from the Swedish Chamber of Commerce too. So we have some in the works for them, hopefully here within the next couple of weeks. And then actually a neighbor to us at the studio, Anders, he works with Norwegian. He lives in the apartment complex above the studio. It's a small world. He's working on a great project with hospitals in New York City where they provide relief for frontline workers. So looking to support that great work that he's doing, and if anything, promote some of the fundraising efforts that he's doing as well. So I'm really excited that we can be a part and help out with that. We're also working very close. This is Volvo Car as a whole. We're working very close with the organization called Alex's Lemonade Stand, and it's a foundation that helps children with cancers. And what they've noticed that throughout COVID, you know, these families are, you know, they're really, you know, they're already suffering. They're definitely in some more hardship now. So we have a lot of exciting initiatives through there. They're doing some virtual 5K runs. We're doing a virtual grocery run push where Volvo USA will actually match any donation up to $100,000. So really excited about that. And that's something that the entire, you know, all the retailers across the country is doing a fantastic job to push that.
And this is called Alex's Lemonade Stand?
That's correct. Yeah.
Alex's Lemonade Stand, everyone. Check it out.
Yeah, look it up, and then go buy Swedish candy, you know, go buy Swedish cinnamon buns, give Project Windman a follow too. You know, there's so many great Scandinavian companies, organizations, and people out there. It's tough to help them all, even though you wish you could.
Yeah.
But I think spreading the word usually doesn't cost that much.
Right.
And sometimes that can make wonders too.
Swedes in the States, I also want to insert that here. Swedes in the States have plenty of articles and guides on our platform where you can find Nordic companies that are still open and operating, and would be very grateful to receive your support. So check out those guides on Swedes in the States also. Do you feel like that's a little bit, as one of the leading car brands in the world and one of the largest companies, do you feel like that's a little bit of your responsibility? Because I feel as a business owner and a founder, I feel like I have a responsibility, especially towards my Scandinavian community and the community around me. Is that your job from that?
Yeah. Yeah, since I think so, Volvo is all about safety. That's the number one priority for us. It's been forever. So I think, again, the global team has done a great job of really pushing that on a global scale with healthcare workers. But then when I look at myself and what we're doing at the studio, we're really more of we're really more involved in the New York City community. So while I'm at work for a global company and we do a lot of things that's going to involve retailers across the nation, we also have an opportunity with the Manhattan studio to be very much embedded with the New York City community. And when you look at it that way, I do think that we have a responsibility to help out where we can. And a lot of these conversations that we're having too is that we might not have a endless marketing budget, and I don't think anyone really is in that situation right now. Right. But we have time. We have some resources that doesn't cost much. We have the opportunity to collaborate through social media, through utilizing our customer database and all that stuff too, and find other aspects of the business where we can help do that cross promotions and lift up small businesses, lift up entrepreneurs, lift up the Scandinavian community in any way possible.
Right. How do you feel? What do you think is going to happen when you get back to work? How do you think? How are things going to be different at Volvo Studios, do you think?
Hopefully I'll have a haircut myself, because it's about due, It's crazy, but I mean, who knows how long that's going to be. Other than that, we talked a lot about that we still want to be a place for people to get together, right? And I know we talked about this in the past too, where yes, we're in a sense, we're a car dealership, but it's also a great location to bring together what we stand for and talk about Swedishness in various events. And we've done it in the past. And I think it's so important to do that. But I think you might have to kind of look at the way you've been doing events in the past, and maybe you scale it down a little bit. You have less people that come in and participate in these events. You might spread it out over a couple of days and make it for a smaller amount of people, and really hone in on the digital piece too, where you might provide live streaming. You might make sure that you get good recaps up on your social media outlets with images and whatnot too. But I think in general, the idea is that we're going to keep using our studio to promote Swedishness in New York City, and not only with Swedish companies, but also for the more of the U.S. population to experience what Sweden kind of stand for and what our cars are all about. Yeah. But it will definitely be an interesting couple of months though.
Do you have anything you want to say to our readers or the people seeing this, watching this? Go.
Yeah, no, I think, I hope that everyone is staying safe and healthy out there. Sure. Please don't be a stranger. I think, it's probably more important than ever to talk to each other, even if it's business related, or if anyone has any questions about what's going on in the U.S. and even how to cope with homesickness. I definitely feel like I miss all my friends and family back home too. And just being able to work with the guys at Bonbon kind of, helps out a lot. You can come down to them and you have a little bit of Swedish candy and you can speak a little bit of Swedish and bond for a minute. It might sound silly, but I think if you're a Swede, you definitely understand that feeling. So yeah, don't be a stranger for sure.
How can people get in touch with Volvo Studios or in any way be involved with Volvo Studios during these times?
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook under Volvo Cars Manhattan. You can also email me directly if you want at martin.hansson, Hansson with 2 S's, .4 at volvocars.com. So I am one of 5 Martin Hansson at Volvo.
Oh,
so
wow.
Nothing special there,
Thank you so much, Martin. It was so great sitting down with you and hearing more about Volvo's initiatives. And, as a Scandinavian, I'm very proud to hear about what our large corporations are doing to kind of support their community and support the people, not only in Scandinavia, but here in the United States. Next week, I'm interviewing Max Knagge from SAS. So we'll be hearing more about all the cool stuff that you guys are doing to support people all around. Thank you so much, Martin.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I look forward to hearing from Max too next week.